The heat on Mustafar is suffocating. As Anakin Skywalker stands over his unconscious wife, yellow eyes burning with dark rage, Obi-Wan Kenobi steps down the ramp. In the original timeline, words turn to drawn lightsabers. But this time, Obi-Wan looks past his fallen apprentice. He sees Padme lying motionless on the scorching metal deck, her pulse fading fast. Obi-Wan realizes a terrible truth. A duel here will only guarantee her death. "You turned her against me!" Anakin screams, his voice trembling with fury. Obi-Wan does not ignite his weapon. He keeps his hands lowered. "I will not fight you, Anakin," he says softly. "She is dying, and I am going to save her." Before Anakin can process the words, Obi-Wan drops to one knee. He gathers Padme into his arms, using the Force, lifting her gently as he turns back toward the Naboo skiff. Anakin hesitates. The sudden refusal to fight shatters his focus. For a brief second, the dark side clashes with the desperate love he still holds for his wife. He takes a step forward, his hand reaching out. "Obi-Wan, put her down. She is mine." Obi-Wan does not look back. He carries Padme into the ship's medical cabin and seals the blast doors shut. C-3PO powers up the sublight thrusters. The ship rises into the smoke-filled sky, leaving the volcanic surface behind. Down below, Anakin stands completely alone on the landing platform. His limbs are whole. His flesh is unburned, but his mind is shattered. He watches the silver starship punch through the ash clouds, carrying away the only person he betrayed the Jedi Order to save. He clenches his fists as the dark side surges through his veins. Obi-Wan has escaped, and with him goes Anakin's entire reason for turning to the dark. As the skiff leaps into hyperspace, the medical monitors begin to flatline. Obi-Wan places his hands on Padme's chest, pouring all his energy through the Force, desperately buying every second he can. The Naboo skiff touches down inside the sterile hangars of Polis Massa. Obi-Wan rushes Padme directly into the emergency ward, where medical droids immediately surround the operating table. Master Yoda and Senator Bail Organa watch anxiously through the observation glass. In another reality, the trauma of Mustafar drained Padme's will to live. But here, the absence of a brutal duel meant she arrived hours earlier, before fatal shock could take hold. The droids stabilize her vitals, pumping oxygen and synthetic nutrients into her bloodstream. Medically, she was fading, the chief droid announces. Yet her vitals are returning. She is fighting back. Through the Force, Obi-Wan anchors her spirit, whispering words of calm and endurance. Padme's eyes flutter open against the harsh white lights. She is weak, heartbroken, and terrified for the future, but she hears the steady rhythm of her own heart. She knows she cannot leave her children alone in a broken galaxy. "Luke," she whispers through heavy breaths as the first child is born, crying out with strong lungs. Moments later, the droids place the second infant beside her, Leia. Outside the operating room, Yoda bows his head in quiet relief. The twins are alive, and their mother remains with them. But the victory is shadowed by profound dread. Yoda senses a disturbance echoing across the stars. "Survived, young Skywalker has," Yoda warns gravely. "Unbroken, his body remains. More dangerous than ever, he will be." Obi-Wan looks down at the twins, his heart heavy. Anakin was not crippled by lava. He will not be trapped in a life support suit. He is free, powerful, and driven by an obsession to find his family. Padme clutches her newborn babies close, her tears falling onto their blankets. She looks directly at Obi-Wan, her voice trembling with absolute resolve. "He thinks I am dead, doesn't he?" she asks. Obi-Wan shakes his head slowly. "He knows you are alive, Padme, and he will tear the galaxy apart until he finds you." Emperor Palpatine's shuttle lands on Mustafar, amid the churning rivers of fire, the newly crowned galactic ruler expects to collect a battered tool, a broken apprentice he can easily manipulate and control. Instead, the ramp lowers, and Darth Vader walks out under his own power. His body is completely uninjured. His movement is fast, fluid, and filled with terrifying grace. "Lord Vader," Palpatine purrs, concealing a flicker of genuine caution. "You have eliminated the Separatist Council?" "They are dead, Master," Vader replies, his voice cold and raw. He offers no bow. "Obi-Wan was here. He took Padme. He took my children." Palpatine's yellow eyes narrow. This was not part of the design. The Sith Master had planned to blame Padme's death on the Jedi to secure Vader's absolute loyalty. Now, Vader's entire motivation shifts from grief to an uncontrollable obsession. Returning to Coruscant, Vader does not receive the heavy, agonizing black armor. Instead, he wears dark combat robes fitted with light durasteel plating, moving with all the speed and raw power of the Chosen One at his physical peak. Without the respiratory limits and painful cybernetics of the suit, Vader's connection to the Force grows exponentially. He masters Sith lightning. He moves faster than any surviving Jedi can track. He leads the newly formed Imperial military with devastating efficiency, personally executing dozens of Jedi survivors across the Outer Rim. In the Senate, Palpatine watches his apprentice with growing unease. Vader is becoming too powerful, too quickly. The Emperor realizes that without the mechanical suit to keep Vader weak, his apprentice will soon challenge him for the throne. Deep in his private quarters, Vader stares out at the endless traffic lanes of Coruscant. He ignores Palpatine's grand speeches about the New Order. The Empire means nothing to him. He reaches out into the vast emptiness of space, searching through the Force for the single heartbeat that still matters. "I will find you, Padme," Vader whispers to the dark. "No matter who hides you." High in the snowy peaks of Alderaan, the royal palace becomes a sanctuary of secrets. Padme Amidala recovers her strength in exile, surrounded by loyal guards and the quiet guidance of Bail Organa. In this timeline, the galaxy's greatest political voice was not silenced at the birth of the Empire. Padme watches HoloNet broadcasts showing Vader's unyielding purge of the Mid-Rim. She sees the clone troopers transform into the faceless armor of the Imperial stormtroopers. She knows she cannot remain a passive survivor. "If we wait, there will be nothing left of the Republic to restore," Padme tells Bail and Senator Mon Mothma during a secure midnight council. Padme uses her old diplomatic codes and deep connections with sympathetic senators. She begins pooling secret funds, establishing smuggling routes, and securing hidden supply depots across the galaxy. She gives birth to an early organized resistance, a shadow network far more unified than the scattered insurgencies of the past. Meanwhile, in the private gardens of the palace, Master Yoda begins laying the foundations for the twins. Luke and Leia are not separated across different worlds. They grow up together, surrounded by the loving presence of their mother and the watchful protection of the Jedi. Obi-Wan keeps a permanent guard over the family, masking their presence in the Force through ancient meditation techniques taught by Qui-Gon Jinn's spirit. Yet every day is a calculated risk. Padme frequently speaks via encrypted transmissions to underground freedom fighters, directing strikes against Imperial supply lines. Her voice becomes a legendary rumor among the oppressed worlds, a ghost senator fighting from the darkness. She knows the danger. Every time she routes a freighter or authorizes a sabotage mission, she leaves a digital footprint. In the Imperial capital, Imperial intelligence intercepts an encrypted transmission using an old Naboo diplomatic cipher. The file is flagged and sent straight to the highest authority. When the recording plays, Darth Vader stops, dead in his tracks. He recognizes the voice instantly. Padme is leading the insurgent fleet. The encrypted audio file loops in Darth Vader's private meditation chamber. Padme's voice is steady, commanding. and unmistakably alive. For 5 years, Palpatine told him that the dark side was the only path to protecting what he loved. But Palpatine lied. The dark side didn't protect her. It drove her away. Vader stands in the center of the room, his fists clenched as furniture and computer consoles crush inward under the weight of his unfocused force power. His hatred for the Jedi is suddenly eclipsed by a burning, venomous rage toward his Sith master. He realizes Palpatine used his fear to enslave him, turning him into a weapon while his wife built a rebellion to destroy everything the Empire represents. Vader begins operating in the shadows. He refuses to hand over the intercepted transmission to Imperial intelligence. Instead, he uses his personal fleet, the 501st Legion, to pursue secret leads across the Mid-Rim, wiping out any Imperial officers who discover his true motives. Palpatine senses the shift immediately. In the Grand Throne Room, the Emperor tests his apprentice with subtle mind probes. "Your mind is scattered, Lord Vader. Your hatred has lost its focus." "My focus is absolute, Master," Vader replies, keeping his thoughts shielded behind walls of pure mental discipline. "I am hunting the core of the insurgency." "See that you do," Palpatine hisses, his fingers tapping the armrest of his throne. "Do not let sentimental ghosts cloud your vision." The tension between them reaches a breaking point. Vader knows that if Palpatine finds Padme first, the Emperor will execute her to maintain his grip on his apprentice. Vader orders his flagship, the Devastator, to jump toward the Outer Rim without Imperial authorization. He is no longer serving the Empire. He is hunting the woman he broke the galaxy for, determined to claim his family before Palpatine can destroy them. On the secluded, forested moon of a forgotten world, green lightsabers ignite in the early morning mist. Luke and Leia, now 12 years old, move in perfect sync against training remotes. In this timeline, they were never kept ignorant of their heritage. They know their father was a hero named Anakin Skywalker, and that he fell to the dark side. Obi-Wan Kenobi watches them from the edge of the clearing, his beard streaked with gray. Master Yoda sits in deep meditation nearby, floating rocks around the perimeter to test the children's focus. "Together, your minds must be," Yoda instructs, his ears twitching as the twins deflect incoming stun bolts. "Strong alone you are. Unstoppable together you will be." Because the twins trained side by side under both surviving Grand Masters, their abilities develop at an astonishing rate. Luke masters the acrobatic, powerful strikes of Form V, channeling his father's natural talent with patience and restraint. Leia excels in Form 3 and mind trick techniques, combining her mother's fierce diplomatic intellect with unmatched force sensitivity. Padme watches from the veranda of their hidden compound. She feels immense pride, but also a mother's deep terror. She knows what is coming. "They are just children, Obi-Wan," she says quietly, her arms crossed against the cold mountain wind. "They are the children of the Chosen One." Obi-Wan responds gently. "Anakin is out there. He has not slowed down, and his power has only grown. When he finds us, simple soldiers will not be enough to stop him." Suddenly, the sky darkens. The air grows cold, and the twins' training blades extinguish simultaneously. Luke and Leia turn to the sky, their faces pale. Yoda opens his eyes, his expression solemn. Arrived. He has Yunbang, Mein Jen, Minj, One, Minj, Bang, Minj, A. High above the atmosphere, the massive silhouette of a Star Destroyer drops out of hyperspace. The Force ripples with intense, suffocating dark energy. Darth Vader has finally tracked the signal. The massive super laser dish of the prototype Death Star reflects the light of the nearby star. On the bridge, Grand Moff Tarkin prepares the ultimate demonstration of Imperial terror. Palpatine had secretly tracked Vader's fleet intending to destroy the rebel base and Padme in a single strike to finally break Vader's spirit. "You may fire when ready, Commander." Tarkin orders smoothly, his hands clasped behind his back. "Hold your fire." The bridge doors slice open. Darth Vader strides into the command center, his unburned face cold and deadly under the harsh fluorescent lights. "Lord Vader," Tarkin sneers, holding up an Imperial datapad, "I have direct orders from the Emperor. This planet will be eradicated." Vader does not waste breath on debate. He raises his right hand. Tarkin is instantly lifted off the deck, gasping for air as his throat is crushed by an invisible vice. The bridge officers freeze in absolute horror, their hands hovering over the control panels. "The Emperor is not here," Vader says coldly, dropping Tarkin's lifeless body to the floor. Vader turns to his loyal 501st clone commanders who flank the entrance. "Lock down the firing controls. Overload the primary cooling conduits on the main laser." Vader deliberately sabotages the Death Star's primary weapon, causing massive internal explosions that disable the battle station's super laser systems. Alarm sirens wail throughout the massive corridors as the station drifts helplessly out of alignment. Down on the planet below, Padme, Obi-Wan, and the Rebel Command watch the night sky erupt in silent flashes of distant explosions. The Imperial blockade is tearing itself apart. Vader marches to his private hangar, boarding his advanced TIE interceptor. He fires out of the smoking launch bay and heads straight down through the planet's atmosphere. He has burned his bridge to the Empire. He is a traitor to the Emperor. Now, only one thing remains. His ship touches down directly on the landing field outside the Rebel Temple. The cockpit of the Imperial starfighter hisses open. Darth Vader steps onto the grass, the wind whipping his dark cloak around him. For the first time in over a decade, there is no mechanical breathing, no black mask, and no battlefield between them. Waiting for him on the stone plaza is Padme Amidala. Flanking her are Luke and Leia, their training lightsabers clipped to their belts, their force signatures burning like twin stars. Obi-Wan Kenobi stands slightly behind them, his hand resting calmly on his own weapon. Vader stops 10 paces away. His golden Sith eyes lock onto Padme. The harsh lines on his face soften for a fraction of a second. "You ran from me," Vader says, his voice thick with years of buried pain. "I gave up everything to keep you alive." Padme steps forward, refusing Obi-Wan's protective gesture. She looks into the eyes of the man she loved, seeing the exhaustion beneath the dark power. "You didn't save me, Anakin," she says, her voice steady and clear. "You let fear destroy you. Look at what you've become." Luke and Leia step forward beside their mother. Vader looks at the two young warriors. He feels their bloodline, their sheer power in the Force, and the absolute lack of hatred in their eyes. They do not look at him with fear, they look at him with sorrow. "Father," Luke speaks, breaking the silence. "We know who you were. It's not too late to come home." The dark side screams inside Vader's mind, urging him to strike down Obi-Wan, take his children, and rule the galaxy as Emperor. But as he looks at his wife's face and feels his children's presence, the illusion of the Sith completely shatters. Vader drops his lightsaber onto the grass. The silver cylinder rolls to a stop at Padme's feet. The galaxy still faces a tyrannical Emperor, but the Chosen One has finally returned.